Hello and welcome to the two-man power trip of wrestling. I'm your host, JP John Paz. With me today is a very special guest, former NWA World Tag Team Champion, a 16-time USWA Tag Team Champion, USWA World Champion, two-time OVW Tag Team Champion. He's returning to the show, Mr. Wolfie D. Wolfie, welcome
I
to Two-Man
think
Power Trip.
you left a couple out there. I'm just kidding. Man, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me again.
What's going on in your world? What have you been up to?
Man, really just kind of been working on, I don't know if you know, I have a podcast and I will plug it if you don't mind. It's called Live and in Color with Wolfie D. My co-host is Jimmy Street. We have guests, and then we also do watch alongs. We do Ask Wolfie this or Ask Wolfie to watch this. And we do all kinds of cool stuff. It's done pretty well on the rankings and everything. Got a few good sponsors, and so yeah, man, kind of been doing that, really just hanging out. I've got a tear in my hip that needs to be fixed. I've got, I just had knee surgery 2 years ago. I ripped my quad off my kneecap. So that whole leg's bothering me. My lower back, I'm having to get injections now because my lower back L5S1 is almost bone on bone. So before they go fuse it together, they're trying these shots, and so far it seems to have worked pretty well. So I'm happy with that. But yeah, man, just doing conventions here and there. And again, if you don't mind, we'll talk about an upcoming show that I have. I hadn't wrestled since 2016. I tore my tricep off the bone, had to have that one fixed. So it's been about a month or so ago, something like that, maybe 2 months. But I had my first match in that many years. With me and Jerry Lawler wrestled Doug Gilbert and one of the Moondogs, which was, I'm limited out there now, but my name, I guess, still has a little value to it. So I didn't have to do a whole lot, especially with those guys with me. So anyway, this upcoming show, this coming Saturday, May the 7th, Portland, Tennessee, we are going to be at the Strawberry Slam. PG-13 is getting back together for the first time. And man, I can't remember the last time me and Jamie worked, but it's been a long, long time. We're talking years and years. Because, I had my Slash run and everything since the PG-13 days. So it's been a long time. Portland, Tennessee at the high school. It benefits the quarterback club. But Portland, Tennessee, I used to live there, and every year they have the Strawberry Festival because that's what Portland's known for is their strawberries this time of year. So this is called the Strawberry Slam. They do it once a year, and again, that'll be this Saturday, May the 7th.
Man, you and Jamie getting back together. How's he doing?
Man, it's a funny story because I really don't know how Jamie's doing. We even before we had a little heat, and we currently have a little heat. We haven't spoken since then. So yeah, we'll get out there and do business, but who knows what it's going to be like at the gimmick table, trying to figure out how we're going to split the money or whatever.
Why didn't he show up to New York? What happened?
Because he didn't want to. Basically, that's what he said when they had him on. He's like, I hate the wrestling business. And they were like, well, why'd you take the booking then? I don't know, man. And then he started on with this whole, there's a lot of excuses and bullshit and just Jamie being Jamie. And quite frankly, that's why he didn't come, because he just didn't feel like it. He's selfish is the way I think of it. He's always been that way. And ain't nothing I won't say to his face, but, he swears up and down. And like I say, I haven't talked to him. Jason running it, I told him, I said, man, this is what happened. No, Jamie's good. He's good. And he's actually, from what I understand now, he's been training and working out real hard and posted on Facebook. I haven't seen that because we're not even Facebook friends anymore. It's heavy when you get deleted. So anyway, man, yeah, so he's supposed to be there. I think he will, because he's been, from what I understand, he's been plugging it and stuff like that. Surely he won't make that big of an ass of himself. But they say the pre-sales on this thing are more than they've ever had on this particular Strawberry Slam once-a-year event.
Back to the podcast, though. How did that all come about? How did you start doing the podcast?
Okay, so Live and in Color, Wolfie D, Jimmy Street, who we both lived in Nashville at this time, or back when I first met Jimmy. He doesn't live there anymore, neither do I. But that's where we met, was on the some of the wrestling stuff around Nashville. He was a manager, and not that we were even really friends or anything. But anyway, I don't know. I've done 50 something episodes once a week, so we're almost at a year now. So about a year ago, he calls me up and he says, "Hey man, I got this idea, man." You know, and he was all kind of, I know you don't know if you remember me, but yeah, man, I remember you, man. And he's like, "Man, I really want to do this podcast." And I was like, you know, I'd never listened to a podcast or really looked into it or anything like that until I started doing this with him. But the magnificent part is, I really don't have to do anything. I just have to talk. Jimmy has gotten like our sponsors, our big sponsors, Manscaped, and then like we got some local ones too that both of us have gathered, but we finally got a legit one. You know what I'm saying? He does that stuff. He does all the emailing back and forth that got us on Apple, that got us on the Facebook podcast, every platform we're on. Anywhere you can listen to him, we're on it. So, you know, he does all that kind of legwork and deals with, unless I tell him, "Hey, I get the guess, obviously, but I'll be like, "Hey, I got so-and-so that's committed to do this date." And then if we need filler, Jimmy comes up with some ideas for stuff like that. Like he'll have them mail in and ask me questions. Ask Wolfie is one of our episodes, and one is Ask Wolfie to Watch, and they'll have me watch a match. The point of that hasn't happened yet is I'm trying to get some younger guys to send me in some shit and let me critique it, not bury them. I think that's why none of those are happening. I think they're scared that I'm gonna get on there and bury them or something, but that's not the point of doing it. But yeah, so Jimmy just contacted me, man, and he's done all the legwork and started going with it, and you know it's done better than I really anticipated it doing. You know, we stay, I think, in the top 60, usually in the top 200 of wrestling podcasts, and you know how many thousands of those there are. So
Yeah, that's true. But do you like doing it though? Like as far as like getting into it, like you said you didn't really listen to it, but do you actually like doing the podcasting?
I've grown to like doing it. The way we started, the first episode was me. It started out with, "Man, I just want you to tell your story, man." And so we didn't have no guests for the first quite a little bit, but then I had the idea of, "Hey, why don't I get, while I'm talking about my TNA run, why don't I get Jim Mitchell to come on?" Okay, yeah. It's kind of evolved, you know, because like I said, at first it was going to be, he just wanted me to tell my story. And he was like, "Okay, so this episode, I want you to cover your beginnings before you ever got your break in USWA. Then let's talk about the break in USWA for this episode. Then let's do 96, 97, where y'all did the Smoky Mountain." You know what I mean? We broke it up into sections to make it, and I can talk that long about a lot of it. So
Yeah, oh yeah.
that's kind of how it went down, man. And I do enjoy it. And, you know, it's fun now. I mean, sometimes we try to, a lot of times, like do 3 or 4 in a week, so then we don't have to do it again for a month, you know. But the only downgrade to that is, I texted him the other day and I saw something, because I pay more attention now to the current product than I did because of that. Now, he likes to do this thing called Current Affairs, where he asks me questions of current stuff, knowing that I probably haven't watched it, but I might have heard of it on Facebook. So I pay attention to stuff like that, and he'll ask my opinion. But it's definitely got me, you know, paying. I actually watched WrestleMania, every bit of it, this year, simply because of that. Really, just to because I knew we should talk about it. You know.
Do you like the guests that you've been having on? Like, do you like having more and more guests? Because it seems like you got a bunch coming up.
Man, that's the funnest part to me, man, is because most of them, trying to think if there's been anybody. Steve Kern, I had never met in my life until in November at those conventions. What a nice guy. And then I had him on, and man, me and him, even after the podcast, talked on the phone for 3 hours, when we never really met each other. But he was a Memphis guy, you know, the Fabulous Ones, and then my big run, PG-13. So we did have a lot in common. Also, he was like, you know, the Fabulous Ones were next to the Road Warriors. The Fabulous Ones were my shit. They were the local shit. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, big
And,
time.
so I love the guests, man. I love having, and especially when it's people that I really know, and we can talk about funny times, or hey, remember this, and da 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 da. So that's fun.
When you have guys on, is it just like guys you know, like, or guys you like having guys you don't know, like Kern, for instance, or like guys like Meanie or guys you do know?
Yeah. So far, man, I'm trying to think. There's been nobody that I don't know. I mean, there's been a couple. Okay, so for instance, I had Kevin Sullivan. I didn't hook that one up. One of my partners did. We partner with Captain's Corner. I don't know if you heard of that. He does the what do you call that? The live signings on the internet. I forget what you call that. Anyway, he got me Kevin. Well, I had actually the only time I had been around Kevin was WCW, and I can't say that we ever talked, at all outside the ring, other than maybe hello. And then me and Jamie worked him and Rotundo, or no, worked him and or it was Scott Steiner and Rotundo with Kevin in the corner, and then at the end Kevin got in, but he remembered us, So I talked to him beforehand, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I remember." So I didn't actually know Kevin, so I had to, other than what I'd seen as a kid, I had to do a little research on him, which that was something I'd never done before, and found out some things that was cool. For instance, I don't know if you know, he was never even smartened up on his first match. He went to the ring without being smartened up. I thought that was amazing. So,
Oh, I know Kevin very well. I actually do a show with Kevin, so I know him very, very well. But oh man, he's hilarious, especially once you get him going.
yeah,
But as far as you though, like actually, like away from podcasting, back into actual wrestling, when did PG-13 start, and like when did you start? Like, was PG-13 very early on in the
oh, yeah,
career?
yeah, yeah. I started training December of 1989. I was 15, turning 16. I was in the ring that next year, 1990. So let's see here. I guess about 91. First, I called myself Airwolf. I was just a little skinny kid that could jump. And Airwolf was a show, and I had a mask on, and my last name's Wolf. So about 91, 92, I start hanging out with Chris Champion, and he helps me to get more bookings and things like that around the area. I lived in Nashville. I did the first show I ever did with Jamie was probably around that same time, but we were wrestling against each other, and I didn't like Jamie. When I used to go to the fairgrounds and he'd be there with his dad, as I'm a fan, and he's back there running around, being the same person he is right now, but at 12 years old or something. I thought it was just a little smart ass kid, but he's right about my age. So at any rate, meet him, and we have great matches together on these little outlaw shows. Chris and me and Jamie all started hanging out pretty much, doing a lot of talents together. And so I came up with this Wolfie D thing, the shorts. They weren't painted, but they were black. They were saggy. I had tennis shoes, shaved the sides of my head, didn't have a hubcap, and called myself Sir Wolfie D, actually. And Chris goes, man, because, Jamie had been JC Ice Baby with his daddy. And he said, man, you guys ought to do this as a tag team. Like, okay. And so Jamie puts on shorts, same look. Still, the shorts aren't painted yet. They're just baggy. And I come up with the name. I got it from, if you remember, I don't know if you were an NWA fan, the rap group, parental discretion is advised for the moment. So that made me just come up with this name of PG-13. And I thought it was unique too, because it was just two numbers, two letters, instead of like the Hip Hop Express or, something that would be obvious to a lot of people, and they'd come up with something like that. But anyway, we get together, I come up with this name. The hubcap comes into play when we need a finish. Okay, so at first it was just a record album. I think it was my LP. It was a Peter Chris's first solo album is what it was, but you couldn't, it was a drawing of people running from a jukebox or something like that. So you really couldn't tell what it was if you didn't know. And so we said that what this was our gold record. You know, we were this rap group, and this is our gold record. Our gold record is in here. That's why you can't see that we have a gold record. So, bam, we hit them with the gold record. And I don't think everybody liked that. As far as like Chris, it was a booker. I don't think everybody liked it, and that's the reason he wanted something else for the finish. He didn't want it. One night he didn't want us to use that. He wanted to use something else for the finish. Well, the place that we were wrestling, the dressing room is like a junkyard, man. It ran for many years. Good little outlaw show. You could pack them in. They get with everything every Thursday night, Shelbyville, Tennessee. So he says he needs a different finish. Well, we looking around and we find a hubcap. And what immediately came to my mind was Flavor Flav and the clock.
Yep.
We put a rope around it, and yes, there was so much junk in there. It's just a junky, like almost like a flea market room or something. There was a can of spray paint, so we spray painted PG-13 on it, and we used it for the finish. And then that was how that got going. That never stopped. We kept that forever. It was unique. Well, do you want me to go into, I guess, the next progression would be getting into USWA with that gimmick because of that gimmick and our work. But
Yeah, definitely. But it seems like your relationship is full circle with him. Like you didn't like him at first. You're not really getting along with him now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
So how'd you get into USWA?
All right. So we're in Beaver Dam, Kentucky, and Jeff Jarrett is the name on that card that night. Jamie obviously had history with Jeff. I didn't know Jeff. I mean, obviously knew who Jeff was, but I did not know Jeff. So Jamie had one of those big VCR camcorders, right? And we were wrestling Brickhouse Brown and I think Pez Watley. And so Jamie says to Jeff, he says, "Hey, man, hold this and film this match for me and take it to your old man." Now, knowing Jeff is how I know Jeff now. The fact that Jeff Jarrett stood at the fucking dressing room door and filmed this entire match for us is amazing to me. Just knowing Jeff, that's just funny. It's very funny to me at this point in my life. But, so he films it, right? Takes it to his old man. I can't remember. Jerry called Jamie or vice versa, whatever. So he gets in touch with us pretty quickly after seeing the match. And he said, come on up to the Hendersonville where he lived at the mansion, which was the USWA office back then. And, bring your shit. So we have a date and a time to go up there. It's probably, I think, somewhere around noon, something like that. So we pull up to the mansion, go up the big driveway, pull around to where the office is, and we call him. Now, we wouldn't have called him because we didn't have a cell phone. I don't know how that happened. For some kind of way, we got there, and I can't remember. I don't remember how that transaction went down. If we knocked and Jamie got sent back out. At any rate, he blows us off because he's sick. Somebody tells he's sick, something. We pulled up, but like I said, we wouldn't have called him, so I'm not sure how the memo got there that, hey, he's canceling for today. So we're like, fuck. So we leave. We have another date planned. Well, he's still sick, but he's going to see us is the word or whatever. So we get there, knock on the door. He comes to the door, big red nose. You can tell he's sick. And Jamie, before we went in, had said to me, he said, "Wolfie, if we make him laugh, we got a job." I said, "Okay, all right." And so go in, and he says, "Well, let me hear about, or let me see this gimmick that I've been hearing about." And so we go in this other room next to where his office was, right there. Change clothes, hubcap around the neck, baseball cap's crooked, sunglasses on, everything. And we walk out there, and he looks at us. I like it. So that was if we make him laugh, we got a job. So he decides that what he wants to do is, and I can't remember who I think that was us just coming up with the idea before our first TV to paint up our shorts and stuff before our first, because we filmed, he told us to write, I wrote the raps, right? He told us to write a rap and told us kind of some points to hit, and we put it to Hip Hop Hooray. We went up to his mansion again and filmed it, like we were doing a rap video and all that mess. And we did 2 different raps, a total of 4 weeks, 2 for each one. And then we debuted and got a win as some little scrawny heels, just undercard guys. That's basically what we were. But Jerry loved the gimmick, and he was high as hell on us. And we were on TV a lot, and then that's how it got going.
Did you guys want it to be like almost like a make fun of hip hop, or you basically like you love hip hop and that's why you want to do the game, or was it more jokey?
At first, it was more of a Malibu's Most Wanted. It was more of a joke, but not necessarily to make fun of the hip hop, more to make fun of making fun of ourselves. Because honestly, in those days, in the late '80s, that was me. I was that little white dude that, I played a lot of basketball. I had more black friends than I had white friends. That was me. I liked rap. I could write raps. And, for a wrestler, I wasn't a half bad rapper.
Did you think it was going to get over, or do you think you're going to get a tremendous amount of heat for it?
Nah, not in those days, man. Nowadays I could see stuff like that getting heat because everything's offensive. But no, I didn't think it was going to get heat back then. No. I've said this a few times on my show with different guests talking about the times and stuff. If you just skip ahead to Nation of Domination, me and Jamie come out with an all black militant group, 2 white boys rapping, throwing the Black Power sign. I believe if that gimmick were to happen today, people would shit their pants, man. People would lose their freaking mind. You talk about heads blowing up.
They would melt down, just completely if you guys did that today.
Yeah, no way, man.
Did you think though, like at that point, like this is a good like heel gimmick though, because it seems like like you obviously got the hubcaps, you could cheat. Was it a good heel gimmick per se?
That's what I wanted it to be the entire time. But a lot of dudes, I'm not gonna say everybody, but a lot of characters get over as heels first, and then it's just so different and so over in a heel sort of way that they have to switch baby face. And that just happens a lot for whatever reason. That's how society is. They like the bad guy. Back in the day, early days, let's talk 60s, 70s, a heel was a heel, and that was that. But now people like the heel, and even then they kind of like the heel. But moving on, we started out that way, and then we got let go because we kept missing towns. Legitimately, it was only I say we missed towns. We only missed a couple towns, and it was not big ones. And it was legitimate reasoning was we drove a '76 Thunderbird. And the summits, we were putting those retread tires on it, and we'd have blowouts all the time. And we'd be late. We were late a lot. We didn't miss a lot, but we were late due to that. And it was legitimate. It wasn't us acting stupid or anything. So Jerry had fired us at one point. We went to Mexico. We came back. We went to Puerto Rico. We came back, and that's when we really got the babyface push. And then that's when the gimmick started, and we knew enough. We couldn't be, and we were growing up too. You got to remember there was years going by there, not too many, but the way I looked at 19 when I started, as opposed to the 25-year-old me that was working the Rock and Roll Express was a lot different. Okay. And body composure and just facial, and a 19-year-old to a 25-year-old is pretty significant change when you age in that period. But we knew enough, man, that when it was time, and we were booked well enough by Randy Hales, and we were coached well enough by the people that worked us, like Tommy Rich and Doug Gilbert, the Rock and Roll Express, Tracy Smothers, all these guys, man, that Nightmare Danny Davis. We were coached the right way. We had veterans that could tell us, don't do that or do this. And we had to be more. And in Memphis, you got to be scrappy. You got to be able to throw a good-looking punch. That's one thing about Memphis. You can't throw a punch. You ain't getting over. And it's about the fight there. The Memphis crowd and the Tennessee territory, likes that fight, man. They want to see good wrestling too. But, then it was, the main events were usually fights. So we knew enough to switch gears and be a more hard-edged redneck white boys that the fans could relate to, and they really could, man. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, man. Them kids related to us so much. You go to Louisville, and even now, man, I laugh because anytime I've been there, it's like I look at all these little PG-13s walking around. So they could relate to us, man. And even in Memphis, where you're predominantly a black audience, man, loved us, man. We could go places in Memphis that not many white people could go. So
What is it about just that territory, USWA, Memphis, that they just, I don't know, they're so passionate. They used to always talk about the TV ratings were so high, and what
yeah,
is it? They're such like a wrestling town.
yeah, man. I guess there's just so much history with. I mean, you got your live show, yeah, and it had went on for so long, and you got people like Lawler that lived there, and you had, Sputnik Monroe, the whole thing with him and the black community, and so wrestling was not just something on TV; it was rooted into the community by more than one wrestler. You know what I'm saying? It was like a tradition to get up on Saturday mornings and watch Memphis wrestling. And the other towns, Nashville, Louisville, it was there too, but there was a different feel of why in Memphis. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to put that into words too well, but it was deeply rooted. That's what I give it the credit to.
You and Jamie, how do you guys maintain such good chemistry in the ring, but sometimes maybe not get along so good outside the ring?
Man, I don't know, dude. I don't know. It's one of those things. And me and him have talked about it. Other people have said it about us. I mean, there's just those teams that I've had I've been a tag team wrestler most of my career. The only person that came close to the chemistry that Jamie and I had was Brian Lee, and with the New Church, that was good. But me and Jamie just had that thing, and it's an X factor. You can't put a name on it or anything like that. We were both always trying to come up with something. Um, you know, just we were both thinking, and then after we do stuff, we were just always on the same page, and our both of us had great timing, and we were always in the right place at the right time for each other for whatever had to happen, and make it look as if it wasn't supposed to happen. That's just an X factor, man. I mean, I've been partners with people that are hell better than me, but as far as maybe what I'm saying, as far as a singles wrestler or something like that, but as a team, you just might not click. Same thing with a singles match. Some guys can, two good wrestlers, two superb wrestlers can have probably what in their minds is just an okay match, that it didn't click. Maybe in the people's eyes it was tremendous, but like I had the pleasure and honor of working with Brad Armstrong a few times. I think everybody, I know, we'll just say in the back, the boys kind of anticipated the match a little bit, and it was good. But man, I had so much more expectations for it. But maybe had we worked together more and more, obviously things would have got better. And like I said, it wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. There was no botches or any bullshit like that. It's just it could have been. I wanted more. I wanted more.
You and Jamie are almost like Dr. Tom and Jimmy Del Rey. In the ring, they look like they're like best friends, or they're awesome. And then you talk to Dr. Tom, another buddy of mine. He says him and Jimmy Del Rey did not get along at all, like outside the ring. But it's weird. They had all the tag team moves and the maneuvers and the
Yeah.
chemistry, but away from the ring, not so much.
Look at Marty and Sean. Marty and Sean used to fight.
Another one. Yep.
There's plenty more examples. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but there's plenty more examples of the ones that didn't get along. And, that could be the artist per se in us, with the clashes of maybe ego, a little bit of ego, and maybe a little bit of creativeness of my creative is better than your creative, or, that type of thing. We're both so creative that I want to be the most creative or something like that, where you kind of feel that in the air, possibly. But I mean, we were boys, man. We fought sometimes, but we had each other's back too. I wouldn't let nobody fuck with Jamie. I'd take up for him. I'd fight for him.
Yeah, it's just funny that like the chemistry in the ring, you would think like, oh, these guys are best friends. They get along great outside, but they don't.
Yeah. And to continue kind of what I was saying, look at a lot of rock bands. Look how many great rock bands like Oasis. They were brothers and they fought all the time. Think about just how bands don't get along. Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, that are so talented but hated each other. Kiss, crazy.
Yep. It is weird like that. So just kind of going forward a little bit, how did you guys get from USWA to WWF? Is that because of Jarrett's relationship with Vince, and that's how you guys got in?
The first time Lawler got us up there, where they brought us in, they gave us a win of 2 enhancement guys, and then brought us back in a 2-segment match against the Smoking Guns for the WWE title or WWF titles. And we were gonna stay. This was I've told this 1,000 times. We were ahead of our time, man, because we get up there. They loved the gimmick. They loved it. They loved our interview, which we had them turn off the teleprompter because they had wrote some shit for us, and we were trying to read it, and we ain't never done that, man. We got to talk like us. And we were just like, because we do things in one take almost all the time. And we kept fucking it up, and we said, look here, is there any way that you can just turn that off and tell us kind of what you want us to say? And they told us, and we said, okay. We took a little powwow, 5 minutes, come back, all right, let's go. And we flapped out the ones that you see on those matches, and they were like clapping for us and shit. It's like, yeah, that's just what we're used to doing. You can't write that and me say it. You don't know what I would say. I would hate that if I was a wrestler now, people writing shit for me. I couldn't do it, really. I don't think. But so continuing on, Lawler got us that deal. We ahead of our time, I say, because they loved everything. And the only problem was Bruce Pritchard said that he thought we were too small. So at that time, if you recall, there was Yokozuna, there was all these huge guys. The rings were actually reinforced. They were hard as fuck. And so we get, do that run. Don't hear nothing back. Except for Bruce thought you were too little. So, okay. A few years later, I mean, not even a few. I think it was like, let's see, that was 95. So when did the cruiserweights and the luchador invasion was like, what, 96, 97 at tops? Yep. So then the size of the wrestler starts going down, and we're over here like, whoa, hold up. I thought we was too small for it. And so then we got another little run with WCW and ECW, and, no pushes or anything, obviously, but competitive matches and most of that stuff, man. But and then the nation thing before that, but we really weren't wrestlers per se, but we knew how to get in front of the camera and make our names known. See, people ask me this. This is me using the nugget. Hey, somebody approached these little figures that we have. Does Vince own y'all's name? Nope, because technically in our contract, we technically didn't have names. Okay. We were like the two thugs or whatever. That's all we were. The two rappers, the two rapper thugs. But when I wrote the Nation of Domination rap, if you'll recall, I made sure to put our names in the rap. Who was rapping, spitting out the rhymes of JC Ice and Wolfie D. So every night, people heard our names. People heard our names, but it was nowhere in contract that he owned the name Wolfie D, nor PG-13, nor JC Ice. So that's how we got to go to every ECW and WCW and to keep those names and keep that gimmick. And not a lot of people can say that.
And that is a great theme song. I love that song.
Thank you.
We Are the Nation, live and in color, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I got fucked on that. Last time I was on, did we talk about that?
No, how did you get screwed on it?
All right. So I wrote it. They brought us up, and Jim Johnson, the music guy, he did the beat to it and all that, right? So we go up there, we record it. I had written it. They, told me to do it a few weeks before, whatever. And so I come up with this thing. I didn't have the "We Are the Nation" denomination. I just had to start out "We Are the Nation" live and in color. That was Jim doing the "We Are the Nation," and that's actually just me and Jamie saying that, and him doing like a reverb thing where it sounds like a crowd. So, fun fact: we go up there, we record it. He gives us the instrumental. We drive around USWA with this in the car, doing the DJ or Run DMC back and forth, because we know Survivor Series 96 is when we got to do it live. So we're rehearsing this thing all the time, getting our cadences back and forth. I'm going to get back into. I'm getting kind of off on how they screwed me, but let me continue. So we do that Survivor Series. We get up there, and so Vince is, he has to see his new stuff, right? So obviously, before anybody's in the building, they hit that music. Me and Jamie are at the curtain. Vince is at the bottom of the ramp, and we walk through the thing and start walking down the ramp, start rapping, bah, 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 bah. Well, all of a sudden it goes, "We Are the Nation," when it wasn't supposed to, right? So Jim had fucking changed the "We Are the Nation" cadence to be sooner. We were supposed to get more lyrics out before that first one hit, and I knew which one it was. Well, he fucked that up. So Vince is going, "What's going on? What's wrong? What's wrong?" I was like, "They changed the music." "What do you mean?" I said, "They changed. It's not supposed to say that right there, but just let me listen to it a couple times. I got it." So basically, we sat there and listened to it. And honest, and this ain't a knock on Jamie, man. I just had more rhythm than he did, and writing the raps and all that shit. So it was. Sometimes I would have to pick up, like if he'd get off beat and shit, I'd have to pick it up in mine, which made it a little challenging. But anyway, we got through that. So they let us go in '97 after WrestleMania, and with a little heat there. And so when they came out with the WWF the music, those CDs that used to come out, right? The Nation song was on there, man. So was Stone Cold's, so was the Undertaker's. There was a lot of good ones on there, so I know that sold a shit ton, especially with Stone Cold's being on there. Well, what they did was they took out our voices. All it was the instrumental and the "We Are the Nation, the Domination." So this is 1997. You don't really have internet yet, internet and the web and all that stuff. So just by chance in 2008, I found out that the actual recorded version that we did that day in Jim Johnson's studio was the track that was put onto the overseas version of WWF the Music Volume, whatever the fuck, right? So they probably figured they'll never know. You know what I'm saying? And sold it over there, and I never got a dime. And that's why they took our voices out in the U.S., because they didn't want to have to pay us.
Wow, damn! Look at that. And all he had to do was put "Nation of Domination" in there and take out the rap, which is obviously crucial. It's a great part of the song.
Yep.
Damn, look at that. How did as you're going along, and obviously LODs involved and different things, like how did you actually like your placement in there? Because sometimes you guys were getting your asses kicked.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what we were there for. We knew it, but we wanted that. I wanted as much in ring contact. I don't give a shit if I get a move in. Just throw me here, throw me there, because I'll take a better bump than this guy will. You know, because at first there was D'Lo and a couple other guys. Then it went down just D'Lo, and then me and Jamie. And D'Lo wasn't really at that point trying to get any. Like me and Jamie, we knew, man. We'd been old schooled in Memphis raised. You know what I'm saying? We knew where the red light was, on what camera, and which one to go to. You know, if you'll notice, you'll see us anytime a camera comes on us, we know it, and we're there, mouthing or doing or running around the ring where you can see us or something to stay on camera. And for instance, I loved doing that at WrestleMania when they did the double Doomsday on us. I mean, heck yeah, man, that was awesome, man. You know, I don't know if that's the only time they ever did that, but I love the Road Warriors anyway. But so, for instance, there was one where we were doing a pre-tape where Ahmed chases us all and to a limousine, and I think a couple of the nation was already in there, and Farouk just had to jump in, and then me and Jamie got caught behind. Ahmed grabs Jamie, throws him in the trunk, slams the hood, and then I was supposed to like just get in and get away from Ahmed and just get in. And I said, "Hey," and this is to Vince. I said, "Can I do something a little more dramatic?" I said, "Can I let them take off with the window down?" I said, "Let them get going, and I'll run away from Ahmed, and I will dive through that window with my feet hanging out." I said, "So as we're driving off, I'll be kicking my feet and dangling them out the window. Can you do that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can do that." Like, "Yeah, I can do that." Without getting hurt. I said, "Yes, just watch," you know, and that we did it, man. And I forget what that was, but I don't. It's out there somewhere, or whatever. It was a Raw or a pay-per-view. I don't remember what, but probably a Raw. But yeah, they took off, and here I come, shoo, dove right in there. I forget. I think Ron was sitting right there, and he just hooked me so that I wouldn't fall out. And I sat there and kicked my feet. And they drove off. Pretty cool.
Do you remember a one specific doomsday device where they literally like decapitate you and you flip over a few times? I mean, it was awesome.
I took it as Slash. I took it a few times in the nation, and then I took it. I guess that, yeah, when we worked them that one time where they squashed us or whatever. I've taken it a bunch, man. It really didn't bother me. The only time that sucked was the WrestleMania one, because I was on Ahmed's shoulders. Jamie got the luck of being on Animal's shoulders. Animal knows to push you. Ahmed just fucking let me go, man. He didn't push or nothing. So if you watch that, I'm literally trying to get myself over, and I kind of land on my head and shoulder or something like that. I mean, it didn't hurt me really bad or anything, but it looks rough. Ahmed was like, you say, did we like taking different things? It just depends on who it was from too, because and this is another instance of me wanting to do more. At the end of let's see, Royal Rumble of '97 and Ron's match, we feed in. I think it was Ron's match, or could have been. I don't remember. I just know Ahmed was in the ring, the only one, and I think he bumped Jamie, and then I feed in, and I'm supposed to run. He's supposed to close on. I'm supposed to duck his clothesline, and then he picks me up over his head, over the top rope, onto the rest of the nation. Well, Ahmed would get blowed up, man, quick, and not knocking the. He was cool, man, but I'm just saying he would get blowed up, and you think his big giant ass could pick me up, even tired. Well, first of all, I run in. I'm ducking. He forgets to throw the fucking clothes on. I said, that looked kind of awkward. But anyway, came back to him, and I'm helping him. I'm going to help him out. But fuck, I shouldn't. At that point, I wasn't probably 220. He goes to pick me up. Well, the side that I'm pushing on, obviously, that's the easy side. When you're press slamming somebody, the hard side is the ass side. That's where all the weight is. So he goes, and he can't get this arm extended to get me high enough. So when he throws me, my feet clip the top rope. My head goes over, but my feet clip the top rope. So therefore, I just tumble real quick. And thank God they were close enough to the ring where they were able to catch me. I mean, I don't know that it would have killed me, but it wasn't a fun tumble. And I'm glad they were there to brace my fall.
How was Ahmed though to work with? I know you're saying there's a couple things, but how was he?
Like I said, I didn't actually work with him, but I know there was a lot of issues, man, with that. I know him and Ron didn't like each other, so there was issues there. And I remember, I tried to stay out of that because that wasn't. I'm gonna do whatever Ron's doing, and I'm gonna back whatever Ron says. I'm gonna go with whatever Ron says. You know what I mean? Um, so when there was drama, Ahmed didn't want to do it. Most of the nation, Savio and them, none of them really cared for him that much. He was hard to work with because like he was like the diva sort of deal where he hadn't really paid any dues, and he walked around like he was a big superstar. And granted, he was over, but he was not a really good worker, and obviously couldn't talk. So there was some issues there. He wanted to be in the nation, I know, at one point, and they didn't want to do that. I don't know.
It's funny. It's like, okay, PG-13. You guys are not really small, especially compared to today's wrestlers. Forget about it. You'd be,
Yeah,
obviously not small at all. But compared to like Ron Simmons and Ahmed and Yoko and Undertaker, you guys seem small. But it's funny when you show up in TNA when you're doing the new church thing, when you're Slash, it's like that can't be the same guy. He's so much bigger. You know what I mean? I know obviously you did gain some weight and you got a
yeah,
lot of muscle, but it's funny. It's like you're not like enormously bigger. It was so weird, so different seeing you. But it's almost like that can't be Wolfie, is it?
yeah, man. You wouldn't believe to this day, man. I still have people at the convention in Indianapolis, Squared Circle Expo the other week. Somebody said that to me. They go, man, I didn't realize until a couple weeks ago that Slash was the same person as Wolfie D. I was like, I get that a lot. I get that a lot. And in a way, it's good, but in a way, it's like I feel like some people may discredit Slash, but would credit Slash if they knew it was Wolfie D. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
I went up to Bubba Ray when I first, and it was also because I completely shaved my head. I got bigger. I added some tattoos. Uh, Grew out. I had a Fu Manchu at one point, long black Fu Manchu, and I was in gimmick and everything. And I walked up to Bubba, and I hadn't seen him. So this is probably like 1999, 2000. This was the year 2000. And I hadn't seen him since probably 97. So it's been like 3 years. And we're in WWE, and I was getting some dark matches and stuff. And I walked up to him and I smacked him on the stomach, right? This is before he lost all his weight, too. I smacked him on the stomach, and I just looked at him. I said, "What's up, fucker?" He looked at me. He went, "Wolfie!" Like, yeah. At first, I was thinking, this motherfucker's about to punch me right in the nose. but then he hugged me. He said, "Oh my God, this is the greatest transformation since Scott Hall to Razor Ramon." I thought that was funny. And then I seen him again. And this is probably that was the last time I saw him since I saw him this last time in November. Many, many years, obviously. Or I might have seen him at TNA a few times, but just in my normal attire, I walked up and shook his hand. I go, "What's going on, brother?" And I could tell he just kind of hey-manned me. So I walked away, and then I turned back around. I said, "You motherfucker." I said, "This is the second time." He goes, "I have done this before, Wolfie. I'm so sorry." He goes, "I just can't get Wolfie D out of my head."
It does, like, surprise you, like, that can't be, you know what I mean? It
Yeah.
definitely is. What's the weight difference between Wolfie D and then when you were Slash?
Uh, I think at my heaviest was Slash. I was like 250. That's about what I am right now. But Slash didn't have as much of this. But and then Wolfie D's, I probably 220, maybe 225 at the most.
Yeah, 'cause it just seemed like a whole different person.
Yeah,
But, I mean, I love Disciples of the New Church. It was so different, it was so cool, it was dark, but
uh,
then you and Brian Lee could work. I mean, it was really cool.
Yeah, I love that run, man, with Brian. And then, not to knock anybody else, but it's back to that thing. Like I had, hell, I was the Jim Mitchell will say it. I was the new church because it was me, and first it was me and Crowbar, then it was me and Sin, then it was me and Brian Lee, and then it was me and Flash Flanagan, and feel like there might have been somebody else there. Malice was in it, but he wasn't really my partner. But I was always in the mix there as the new church's tag team, you know. But I enjoyed that run. I love Jim Mitchell to death. I really loved it with the me, Brian, James, and when we had that girl Belladonna with us, rest in peace. I just thought she fit so well with that group. She would take bumps. And man, I hated it. Really, I thought they screwed up by letting her go. I kind of understand why they did it, back behind the scenes stuff, but man, she just fit we were such a cool little group, man. I really dug that. There's one part where we had just won the tag team titles, and I'm sitting in the middle of the ring. I got heavy juice from the match, and the lights, they used to do the red light on us, you know, and I'm like I said, I'm sitting on my butt, kind of selling, holding the belt and selling, and she comes over and she gets all a bunch of blood off my face and starts wiping it on her tits, and just little stuff like that just made it like, man, these dudes are crazy. This is evil.
Did you wish you kind of stayed there longer? Because it did seem like, okay, you're a part of the new church. You're embedded into TNA. Did you think like you wish you would have had a longer run, like just as far as longevity?
Of course I do. Of course I do. But that was a deal, man, where there was some clicks, man. Right there at the end before they went to Orlando, there was some clicks, man. And I was not in that click, man. Or Jeff and Jerry Jarrett got me on there, when it first started. Obviously, why I know them and known them for years. And well, there was never really an intention to put the tag team titles on us. It was supposed to be like a 1 week thing, and then America's Most Wanted takes them right back. But I think we worked ourselves into a run. We exceeded expectations and had some really good matches, but they kept doing like, okay, so then Jeff was gone. We did the run with AMW, then we did the run with the ECW guys, and then just kind of generic matches here and there. It's like they couldn't figure out what to do, and that's when Vince Russo came in. And then that was another thing. Like we're going out there. It's like we was talking earlier about the people liking the bad guys. The people we're heels, and they start chanting evil, evil, evil. Well, then they try to switch us baby face, but they don't really know how to do that or put us against anybody. It was the ECW guys, but they just didn't have it's like they were just throwing us out there. There was no real, okay, this is what we're doing with the new church because they're getting over. Nah, so then they could just quit booking us. And it was like, what the fuck? And then my contract was not a nightly deal, but I was guaranteed so much a night for so many dates. They had to honor so many dates in that year. Well, when they stopped booking me, that year expired and they hadn't honored all the number of dates. So I'm like, hey, they owed me, a few $1,000s. And I mean, to me, a few $1,000s is not something I'm going to go, oh, no, it's okay, guys. I know they wouldn't do that to me. So I kind of got shitty, hey, man, either book me or fucking pay me, man. And they wasn't booking me. And then they were not trying to pay me. And so I kind of had sent a few messages to certain people and, hey, if y'all ain't going to do this, I guess I'm going to have to get an attorney or something, because I want my money. So then they finally paid me. But so it was kind of and then they went to Orlando. And at that point in time, I had gotten a job in Nashville on a government city paycheck, man. And I was educated enough with the business that I knew not to put all my eggs in the TNA basket and move to Florida, because they wouldn't have, if I would have said, hey, I don't give a shit. I want to go with you guys. I'll move, because they wouldn't have wanted to fly me in every week. You know what I'm saying? From Nashville, that would have been extra expenses for them. But if I had been if in their eyes I had been a better commodity, maybe, but that would have been me begging to go, and I wasn't about to do that.
So as we hit the wind down here, we head towards the finish. I'm just curious, like health wise, how are you doing? I know you had some health scares, not so recently, or actually very recently. But what's the latest on the health?
Well, so I've got 2 stents in my heart. I had a heart attack. Well, even before that, the year before that, when I tore my quad off my kneecap, had to have surgery, of course. Got a blood clot, went to my lung, massive pulmonary embolism. Rushed me to the hospital, stayed there a few days. It was in my lung, pulmonary. Um, did that. I got some back issues, but the bigger one was the heart attack. Um, I I had no idea, man, that I had any blockage. I go to the gym all the time, and sometimes I don't treat myself as good as I should, uh, but nothing like the days I don't use drugs or anything like that. Uh, but I fell out in the parking lot, man, of a gas station, busted my head open. No, I didn't have to be resuscitated, but uh, got rushed to the hospital, and spent a few days there. Put 2 stents in, and I'm on all kinds of heart medicine and stuff. So that's a deal. Kind of have to watch a little better what I eat, because I had what they call the widowmaker. It was 100% blockage. In some kind of way, I survived it. I need hip surgery. I've got a tear in the labrum of my hip, and I'm getting injections in my lower back because my L5S1 are all messed up. I got a lot of arthritis in the back, SI joint, hip. So, but like I say, I go to the gym all the time. I know how to work around what hurts that day. The heart, they told me I'm fine. As soon as I got out of the hospital, they were like, "Okay, you're fine now. You could." I said, "Like, can I go work out?" Oh yeah, do it. You're fine. Okay, so that should be all good as long as I don't do anything to screw it up. Start eating a bunch of pig lard or something.
But you could wrestle though, no problem, huh?
Well, I don't want to say no problem. I wrestled. Me and Jerry Lawler wrestled Doug Gilbert and the Moondog a couple months ago. That was the first match I had since 2016, April 2016. And I mean, I did all right. I can cover up. I can't really take bumps per se, depending on what it is, maybe. But I can't risk my back's in too bad a shape to be slammed on it or anything like that. But I do what I can, and I do the PG-13 gimmick. Back to that. I couldn't be Slash right now. We got
Right.
like PG-13 and do that shit. So I just kind of try to ride off the name value. But we're working again, like I said, coming up.
Give us one last big pitch for the podcast.
Yeah, man. Live and in color with Wolfie D on any place that you listen to podcasts. It's at Live Wolfie D on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, I have a store on Pro Wrestling Tees. You can get this T-shirt on there. I'll also have some of these at the show Saturday. Pro Wrestling Tees, and then go to the podcast stores, and it's in the podcast stores under obviously Live and in Color with Wolfie D. A new episode drops every Monday at noon, but you are able to go back and listen to episodes 1 through, I think we're at 56, 7, 8. I don't know, something like that. I've lost count. I can't remember everybody I've had on there, but I've had some superb guests, superb conversations, and then other stuff where we watch matches and watch alongs where you watch along with us at home, and you can actually send matches in to me. I think I said all that earlier, but yeah, on Facebook it is Warren Wolf, or just go to Wolfie D, because my Facebook personal page is getting pretty loaded and it's hard to accept people. So don't take that as a middle finger from me, please, folks.
Are you still drawing? You're still doing artwork?
Haven't done a lot of it lately, man. No, I just haven't been. like I said, for me, a good day lately. I haven't even been in the car business lately. I've gotten out of that because standing around for 10 hours, my leg goes numb, all kinds of shit. And, a few other personal factors that I just need to. I need a break, man, and get my health good and everything. So
All right, awesome stuff. I implore everybody, of course, check out the podcast. Great stuff going on there. But Wolfie, thank you so much for all the time.
thank you for having me.